and a lot of froth. I barely see any juice in this at all. This is about 300 mLs of volume, and literally 40% of it is froth. And as you can see, I mean, look at the color. It's very yellow. So I got a lot of juice out. Let's use this beaker to measure. The Breville comes with a froth separator. It's kind of like those fat separators you use when you're cooking. So it'll keep some of the froth in behind that's useless, and then you get less froth when you're done. So this, like I said, is about 150 mLs of juice, and you can see the color. Look at the difference. And let's see how much I got out of the Kuvings. I've never done a side-by-side comparison before, so I'm hoping I get more. And I do. Almost 225 mLs of juice. That's a big difference. Hi guys, it's Michelle, and I'm back to show you a comparison of two of my juicers. Now, in my previous videos, if you'd like to look, I've talked about why we should be juicing or making smoothies, some of the differences between juicing and making smoothies, and I've also done a review of my Kuvings with a verbal comparison of an Omega. So the purpose of this video is to compare a more popular, more inexpensive, centrifugal juicer, like this Breville, which is the first one that I bought, and a masticating juicer, which is less known and a little bit more expensive. This one is a vertical instead of a horizontal juicer. So what are some of the differences? This one was $99. I wanted to buy a juicer that was no more than $100 because I wasn't sure if juicing was going to be right for me, because it is very time consuming. I'll admit, it takes a lot of time, probably from start to finish 15 to 30 minutes to make some juice in the morning every day. So I didn't want to spend a lot of money. I wanted to buy something inexpensive that was still a good value, that was still a good machine, and then if juicing was right for me, upgrade to it later. I didn't want something that was going to take up a lot of space either, and this is their compact model. It doesn't hold that much though, the compact models. This is the maximum capacity of juice, 800 mLs, and as you're going to see in the video, there's going to be some froth, which is foam, which you can't really drink. It's kind of disgusting. So what you're really going to get out of this is about 600 mLs, which for me is only one serving of juice, and I make 2 to 4 servings a day. 2 for me and 2 for my spouse. So that means you have to empty this thing and start over all over again. Part of the capacity of this machine also is where the waste goes. The waste goes inside of this bucket, and it makes a circle, kind of like those baking pans that have a little hole in the middle, or like a donut. So once this is full, you have to empty this. You can't juice anymore. The machine's going to get backed up. There are larger machines by Breville that are not considered compact, and they will have a larger capacity juice holder, and they will have a separate pulp ejector on the side. The reason why I didn't get those is I think this is pretty ugly to begin with. The bigger ones are just as ugly, if not uglier, and they're harder to stash away in your cabinet, so it's more likely to stay out on your countertop every day, and if it's going to stay out, I want it to be pretty. The big ones really aren't. The other reason besides space and appearance why I didn't want one of those is those are about $199 on average, and they go up even higher than that. They go up to $250. You can see my other video for a comparison of why I chose the particular Kuvings model. But this is similar to an Omega masticating juicer. It's a very high quality juicer. This is about the second best that they make in their line of juicers. The best is almost a $500 machine. The full value on this machine is about $390 something, so almost $400. By shopping around, I was able to get an everyday low price at Bed Bath & Beyond, believe it or not. They let me combine it with a 20% off coupon. All this fine print on items that you're not allowed to use this coupon on, Kuvings isn't listed, neither is Omega. So guess what? You can get 20% off. You try to buy Breville at Bed Bath & Beyond, that's listed in the fine print. You can't use your coupon. And I bought mine around Christmas time, so I was able to get a promotion on free shipping. So I got a $400 machine, combined a coupon with an everyday low price, and I was able to get it shipped to my door, including taxes, for $265. So what's the point of getting an uglier, bigger, inferior juicer for $200 to $300? Go with that one. So why do I like this juicer better than this juicer? There's a lot of reasons. This juicer gives you more juice. You're paying for the fruit, you're paying for the vegetable. Why not get the most out of it? Especially if it's organic, it's going to be really expensive. If you're growing it out of your own garden, it might be free, but it's a lot of work. There's also less froth at the top, which I will show you, and the froth tastes horrible. You really don't want to consume it. It's just, ugh, it's a horrible texture. This is very quiet, the Kuvings juicer. So in my household, whoever is up first in the morning is usually responsible for starting to make the juice. You can run this and you won't wake up the other person. You run this, you're going to wake them up. There's a lot of force that is generated with a centrifugal juicer because that's how it works. You put your food in down the chute, and similar to a smoothie machine, it's going to spin it around with a lot of high force. It's going to throw it up against a wall where the screen is, and it's going to shred it. All of that force is what causes the noise. All of that force is what causes a lot of destruction of nutrients from the force, from the heat that's generated, also from the extra air that your fruits and vegetables are being exposed to. That is what causes the foam. And when I'm using it, sometimes I notice that this plug will start to magically rise and hover. And as it's doing that, all little pieces of fruits and vegetables are coming out. And when you take this off to put your next piece of fruit or veggies in, there's stuff shooting straight up. I've actually gotten spinach on my ceiling before and have had to clean it because of all the force. You never have to worry about that with this. So all the reasons that make this less desirable are those same reasons that cause you to lose nutrients in your juice. So when you get juice out of a masticating juicer, the juice is going to last longer because it's already fresher once it hits your glass. It's going to be brighter in color. It's going to taste better. It's going to be easier to clean. You can use it to make other things like jams. You cannot make jams in here. And there are additional types of produce that you can put in a masticating juicer, like avocados or bananas, any type of fruit that's like a real creamy consistency. You can't run those in a centrifugal, it'll jam up the machine. Also, I think, much more attractive. This obviously looks a lot prettier, and I love the Kuvings because it comes in color options. So this one is red, matches my KitchenAid appliances, it looks great. And if you wanted to run the pulp through one more time to get out that last bit of juice, it's a lot easier with this machine. I'll show you. It just goes into this waste bucket. If you're making it for yourself, you can go ahead and use your hands. If you're making it for others, please use a spoon, and you're just going to put it right back in. When you use a centrifugal, compact, $99 model, pulp is going to be in here. You got to take this whole thing apart, and you got to scoop it out. I usually end up dropping some all over the place. And then you got to try to run it through, and you usually barely get any additional juice out of it. And if you want to use your pulp for something like cooking or baking, it's easier to use with this. So I love reusing pineapple after I've run it through. The fibers that are left behind are really tasty. I can use them to make desserts. If I'm making juice in the morning and it's like pineapple, kale, lemons, oranges, in the Breville, it's going to get all mixed in. It's really hard to take the pineapple out, and my dessert might end up having a little bit of kale in it, which isn't too tasty. If I'm using a masticating juicer, any masticating juicer, This is kind of universal. I can run through my pineapple, take it out, put in some other type of Tupperware or plasticware container, run the rest of my pulp through, and I can just stick this in the fridge, go to work. This doesn't take up a lot of space, and it'll be there tonight when I want to make dessert. And you can do that with any masticating juicer, but you can't do that with any centrifugal juicer. And I find these a lot easier to clean. The screen on this one is a very, very fine screen. It's a very, very fine mesh. And you can actually see that it's still dirty because it's so hard to clean. It comes with a brush. You use this end of the brush to scoop the sides out to get out your pulp, and you use this part of the brush to clean your screen. It takes me at least 5 minutes to clean this screen. It takes a lot of elbow grease, and you cannot run this through the dishwasher to help you out. Kuvings juicer and any similar omega juicer, in my opinion, is much easier to clean. And I actually just ran some juice in mine, so it's dirty, so you'll get to see what it looks like. So you just take the basket out and take out the auger. Separate the basket from this little floating device that helps it spin, and you can see that the screen type, well, maybe you can't see it at home, but this type of screen is a lot easier to clean. These holes are only really filled with juice, they're not filled with fiber. The fiber is on the inside, which I can easily take right out. And the Kuvings model, but not the Omega models, come with this special cleaning device. You just pop it right in while you're running it under the water. And then you twist back and forth. I don't want to do it right now because I'm not over the sink. You just twist back and forth, and it'll help clean out all the little pieces of juice that are stuck in there. Maybe a minute to clean the screen, no elbow grease, versus this one is like 5 minutes to just clean the screen, and your arms and your shoulders are hurting you by the time that you're done. So even though obviously a masticating juicer is my favorite, there are a few benefits to a centrifugal juicer like this Breville, which is what most people know of when they think of a juicer, and Breville is a very popular model. So besides the fact that it costs less, so it's great, like I said, for somebody who's just starting out, maybe you don't want to spend a lot of money, you want to make sure juicing is right for you. You don't want to go into that $250 range. It's also lighter weight because it's a less sturdy machine. Very easy to pick up. That one's a lot heavier. So if you've got strength issues and you don't have a lot of countertop space, you might want to go with this one. This is a lot easier to put into an underneath cabinet and pick up because of the weight. It also takes you less time to prep your food and less time for you to run your food through. This is about a 3-inch diameter feeding tube. This is much narrower feeding tube, and it's oblong shaped, and that is also the case with the Omega. So you have to cut your pieces of food up smaller. Also, when you're processing leafy greens, you can't run them through right like this, because these long fibers, similar to celery fibers, will just be like string inside of here. And as it's spinning, it's going to be like when you get thread stuck in your vacuum cleaner and it just makes a really tight knot, and then your vacuum cleaner won't spin anymore. That's what will happen. So you have to break these fibers up, and you got to chop them into little bits before you put them in. On the centrifugal, you don't have to. You just fold it in half and run it through. So you save time in your prep, you save time in your juicing, but you do spend more time in your cleaning, and you're not getting as much out of your juice. So in my opinion, if you're paying for the fruits and vegetables, you might as well get the most out of them. Also, another note on this, we found this to be too small. So what we would do is we would take a coffee carafe that didn't have any coffee in it, which worked, prop it underneath here, put something over here so that this wouldn't move, and we could probably get 2 juices out of it before we maxed out this pulp capacity, and then we were forced to empty it before we could make more juice. So next I'm going to show you a comparison running orange juices through both of these machines so that you can see the difference. have 2 oranges for each machine of similar size. I'm not going to weigh them because that's going to take too long. And you'll get to hear how loud this is. You'll see how much juice comes out. We'll compare color and volume. And now for the Kuvings juicer, much quieter. Kuvings juicer and any vertical masticating juicer, you have to run for a little bit longer after your last piece of fruit because it works slower with the auger method inside. It's going to still be turning and creating juice a couple of seconds after you drop your last piece in. So it looks like that's about all done. So what do we have? Juice, orange in color, and a lot of froth. I barely see any juice in this at all. This is about 300 mLs of volume, and literally 40% of it is froth. And as you can see, I mean, look at the color. It's very yellow. So I got a lot of juice out. Let's use this beaker to measure. The Breville comes with a froth separator. It's kind of like those fat separators you use when you're cooking. So it'll keep some of the froth in behind that's useless, and then you get less froth when you're done. So this, like I said, is about 150 mLs of juice, and you can see the color. Look at the difference. And let's see how much I got out of the Kuvings. I've never done a side-by-side comparison before, so I'm hoping I get more. And I do. Almost 225 mLs of juice. That's a big difference. And obviously you can see the color. So a darker color is going to mean more nutrients are retained in that juice. Less froth means less air has come in contact with the juice, so that means more nutrients. And if you get more of anything, you're getting more of your money's worth. So next, show you the difference with leafy greens. So, leafy greens. Easier to run through on this machine because you don't have to cut them, but you don't get too much out. This one, more time, but you get a lot out, and it's a beautiful green color. Now, in all honesty, when you run leafy greens through a masticating juicer, a vertical one in particular, you're not supposed to do just leafy greens. You're supposed to do leafy greens, fruit, leafy greens, another vegetable, just so that the gears get a little something different so that they don't get clogged with those long celery type fibers that are in here. It'll make your juice better and it'll put less stress on the machine. So let's see what happens since I'm not obeying the rules. Okay, so I've never done a side-by-side with leafy greens before, and I've never run this machine with just leafy greens, which you're not supposed to do, so I'm going to be surprised by the results. So this is the Breville. Good thing on this one though, there's really no foam. And I get, minus a few drops, because I'm leaving quite a bit in here for the essence of time, I'm getting over 30 mLs, but there is a lot of froth. So I'm gonna say about 28 mLs off of one collard green leaf. Good deep color though. Doesn't look like there's anything in here. But yet to my surprise, there is 50 mLs of liquid in here. However, there is more froth, but the froth is settling and now it is already up to 30 mLs. This is a different type of froth compared to what is created in this machine with the high amount of air and force. So this will probably settle a little bit more and be more usable. And in that case, I actually got more out of my leafy greens in the masticating juicer than I did out of the centrifugal. Color looks about the same though. Cheers. So now with cleaning your machine, let's show you what it looks like when it's dirty. I've already talked about it when it's not dirty. So when this is full, oh, we missed a lot in there. Oh, that's actually quite a bit. I could probably rerun that through. So I gotta put this down somewhere. It usually makes kind of a bit of a mess. Take the screen out, and as you can see, that is full. It takes a really long time to clean. Then there's always juice left in this reservoir, which I gotta put it somewhere. And then as you can see, when I talk about saving your pulp to use it for other things so you can divide and conquer with your fruits and vegetables, it's a lot harder to do that with something like a Breville, because you can see my oranges from my previous demo are all mixed in with my leafy greens. You would use this to scoop it out. Put it in a bowl, plate, something like that. And I always make a mess when I'm doing this. It's really not the best method. That's how you empty that machine. So with the Kuvings or any similar vertical masticating juicer like the Omega, well, I've got these nice separate containers already. All I do is twist this off. There's no chunks underneath. I do have some chunks left in the basket, but like I said, you're not supposed to run the leafy greens the way I did. And you can easily carry this right to the sink, and then you separate your parts that I've already shown you, your auger, your basket with the screen on it, and then this nice little floating device that keeps everything centered. So you will save a lot of time on your cleaning with this machine.